The papacy, one of the oldest and most revered institutions in the world, has been the subject of fascination, speculation, and debate for centuries. The process of selecting a pope, known as a papal conclave, is steeped in tradition, secrecy, and strict eligibility criteria. While any baptized male Catholic can theoretically become pope, in practice, the role almost always goes to a cardinal, a senior ecclesiastical leader appointed by a previous pope. However, not all cardinals are eligible or suitable candidates for the papacy, whether due to age, health, controversies, or other factors. In this article, we explore the top 10 cardinals who, for compelling and varied reasons, can never ascend to the throne of St. Peter. Counting down from 10 to 1, we'll uncover the stories, scandals, and circumstances that make these men fascinating yet ineligible figures in the Catholic Church.
Before we delve in deeper, please take 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to our channel to stay updated on similar videos. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Back to our discussion.
Number 10. Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, the People's Cardinal, held back by youth and popularity. Who is he? Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, the charismatic Filipino cardinal, is often dubbed the Pope Francis of Asia. As the prefect of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples, Tagle wields significant influence in the Church's missionary efforts. His youthful energy, telegenic presence, and ability to connect with the masses have made him a global Catholic superstar. Why he can never be Pope. Tagle's biggest obstacle is, paradoxically, his popularity and youth. At 67 years old, as of April 2025, he is relatively young for a cardinal, and his approachable progressive style has made him a polarizing figure among the more conservative factions of the College of Cardinals. The papacy often favors older, less divisive figures who can serve as a unifying force. Tagle's emotional openness, such as his tendency to cry during sermons, has also been viewed by some as a sign of weakness, unbecoming of the gravitas expected of a pope. Furthermore, his strong association with Pope Francis's reformist agenda may alienate traditionalists, who hold significant sway in conclaves. While Tagle remains a beloved figure, his profile is too bold and his tenure too tied to the current pontificate to make him a viable candidate. Interesting tidbit, Tagle once hosted a television show in the Philippines called The Word Exposed, blending theology with pop culture. His ability to reach younger audiences is unmatched, but it's precisely this modern flair that makes him a risky choice for the papacy. Number 9. Cardinal Raymond Leo Burke, the traditionalist lightning rod. Who is he? Cardinal Raymond Leo Burke, an American, is a leading voice for traditionalist Catholics. Known for his staunch defense of church doctrine and his love for the Latin Mass, Burke has served in prominent roles, including as the prefect of the Apostolic Signatura, the Vatican's highest judicial authority. Why he can never be Pope. Burke's outspoken criticism of Pope Francis's progressive reforms has made him a divisive figure. His public disagreements with Francis, particularly on issues like the Synod on Synodality and the inclusion of LGBTQ+ Catholics, have alienated moderates and progressives in the College of Cardinals. At 76, Burke is also approaching the age limit for voting in a conclave, 80, which diminishes his chances of being seen as a long-term leader. His rigid adherence to traditionalism, while admired by some, is viewed as out of step with the Church's need to adapt to a rapidly changing world. Electing Burke would risk deepening divisions within the Church, a prospect few cardinals would endorse. Interesting tidbit. Burke is known for his elaborate liturgical vestments including the Kappa Magna, a long-flowing cape rarely seen in modern times. This sartorial choice has both endeared him to traditionalists and made him a caricature of excess to his critics. Number 8. Cardinal Gerhard Ludwig Müller, the doctrinal hardliner. Who is he? Cardinal Gerhard Ludwig Müller, a German theologian, served as the prefect of the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith from 2012 to 2017. A prolific author and scholar, Müller is respected for his deep knowledge of Catholic theology, but feared for his uncompromising stance on doctrine. Why he can never be pope. Müller's tenure as a doctrinal watchdog under Pope Benedict XVI made him a hero to conservatives, but a liability in the era of Pope Francis. His public criticisms of Francis's teachings, particularly on marriage and the family, have painted him as a rebel within the Vatican. Müller's abrasive personality and tendency to speak bluntly have also strained relationships with fellow cardinals, who value diplomacy in a potential pope. At 77, his age is another barrier, as conclaves often prefer younger candidates who can lead for decades. Müller's rigid theological stance, while intellectually rigorous, lacks the pastoral warmth that modern popes are expected to embody. Interesting tidbit. Müller once compared Pope Francis's reforms to a ship without a rudder, a comment that shocked Vatican insiders and cemented his reputation as a loose cannon. Number 7. Cardinal Gianfranco Ravasi, the intellectual outlier. Who is he? Cardinal Gianfranco Ravasi, an Italian, is the president of the Pontifical Council for Culture. A brilliant scholar, Ravasi is known for his erudite writings on theology, art, and literature, as well as his efforts to bridge the gap between the church and secular culture. Why he can never be pope, Ravasi's intellectualism, while admirable, is his Achilles heel. His focus on high culture, such as organizing dialogues with atheists or curating art exhibits, has made him seem disconnected from the pastoral needs of everyday Catholics. At 82, Ravasi is already ineligible to vote in a conclave, a strong indicator that he is not seen as a future pope. His lack of experience in governing large dioceses or managing Vatican politics further weakens his candidacy. In a church that increasingly values humility and accessibility, Ravasi's ivory tower persona is a significant drawback. Interesting tidbit. Ravasi once invited rock star Patti Smith to perform at a Vatican Christmas concert, a bold move that raised eyebrows but highlighted his unconventional approach to evangelization. Number 6. Cardinal Oscar Rodriguez Maradiaga, the scandal-tainted reformer. Who is he? Cardinal Oscar Rodriguez Maradiaga, the Archbishop of Tegucigalpa, Honduras, is a close ally of Pope Francis and a key figure in his reform efforts. As the coordinator of the Council of Cardinals, C9, Maradiaga has been instrumental in reshaping the Vatican's bureaucracy. Why he can never be pope. Maradiaga's career has been marred by allegations of financial mismanagement and corruption in his archdiocese. Reports in 2017 accused him of receiving large sums of money from a Honduran university and protecting aides involved in financial scandals. While Maradiaga denied the allegations, the controversy has tarnished his reputation and eroded trust among his peers. At 82, he is also too old to be a serious contender. His close association with Francis's reforms, while a strength in some circles, makes him a target for conservative cardinals who oppose the current pontificate's direction. Interesting tidbit. Maradiaga is an accomplished saxophonist and pilot, talents that have endeared him to many, but do little to offset the shadow of scandal. Number 5. Cardinal Joseph Zen Zikyun, the outspoken dissenter. Who is he? Cardinal Joseph Zen, the retired Bishop of Hong Kong, is a fierce advocate for religious freedom and democracy. Known for his vocal criticism of the Chinese Communist Party, Zen has been a thorn in the side of both Beijing and the Vatican's diplomatic efforts. Why he can never be Pope. Zen's outspokenness has made him a hero to many Catholics, but a liability in the Vatican. His public opposition to Pope Francis's 2018 deal with China on bishop appointments alienated him from the Church's diplomatic corps. At 93, Zen is far too old to be considered for the papacy, and his combative style lacks the consensus-building skills needed for the role. His focus on Hong Kong and China also limits his global appeal, as conclaves tend to favor candidates with broader international experience. Interesting tidbit: Zen was arrested in 2022 under Hong Kong's national security law, a move that sparked international outcry and solidified his status as a martyr-like figure. Number 4. Cardinal Pietro Parolin, the diplomat who knows too much. Who is he? Cardinal Pietro Parolin, the Vatican Secretary of State, is the Church's top diplomat and one of the most powerful figures in the Vatican. A skilled negotiator, Parolin has overseen delicate agreements, including the China-Vatican deal. Why he can never be Pope. Parolin's deep involvement in Vatican politics and diplomacy is both his strength and his weakness. As the architect of controversial policies, he has made enemies among cardinals who disagree with his pragmatic approach. His role as a kingmaker in the Vatican means he is more valuable behind the scenes than as a candidate himself. At 70, Parolin is still young enough to be considered, but his reserved personality and lack of pastoral charisma make him an unlikely choice for a role that requires a public-facing leader. Additionally, his association with the current pontificate's diplomatic missteps could haunt his candidacy. Interesting tidbit: Parolin is fluent in 5 languages and has served as a papal diplomat in conflict zones like Venezuela, showcasing his ability to navigate complex geopolitical landscapes. Number 3. Cardinal Robert Sarah, the conservative firebrand. Who is he? Cardinal Robert Sarah from Guinea is a leading voice for conservative Catholics. As the former prefect of the Congregation for Divine Worship, Sarah is known for his defense of traditional liturgy and his critiques of Western secularism. Why he can never be Pope. Sarah's uncompromising conservatism has made him a polarizing figure. His books, which often criticize modern culture and implicitly challenge Pope Francis's leadership, have won him a devoted following but alienated moderates. At 79, Sarah is nearing the age limit for conclave participation, and his lack of diplomatic finesse makes him a risky choice for a church seeking unity. His African background, while a potential asset in a global church, is overshadowed by his rigid views, which many see as out of touch with the needs of a diverse faithful. Interesting tidbit: Sarah grew up in a remote Guinean village and was educated by French missionaries, a background that informs his deep reverence for tradition. Number 2. Cardinal Angelo Becciu, the fallen star. Who is he? Cardinal Angelo Becciu, an Italian, was once a rising star in the Vatican, serving as the substitute for general affairs in the Secretariat of State, a role akin to the Pope's Chief of Staff. He was later appointed prefect of the Congregation for the Causes of Saints. Why he can never be Pope. Becciu's career imploded in 2020 when he was implicated in a financial scandal involving a $400 million London property deal. Accused of mismanaging Vatican funds and funneling money to family members, Becciu was stripped of his cardinalatial privileges by Pope Francis and convicted in a Vatican court in 2023. Though he maintains his innocence, the scandal has destroyed his credibility and made him a pariah among his peers. At 76, Becciu's age is a secondary concern compared to the irreparable damage to his reputation. His fall from grace serves as a cautionary tale about the perils of Vatican power struggles. Interesting tidbit. Becciu's trial was the first time a cardinal faced criminal charges in a Vatican court, marking a historic moment in the Church's efforts to combat corruption. Finally, number 1, Cardinal George Pell, the posthumous ineligible. Who is he? Cardinal George Pell, the late Australian cardinal, was a towering figure in the Catholic Church. As the prefect of the Secretariat for the Economy, Pell was tasked with cleaning up the Vatican's finances. A staunch conservative, he was a leading voice for traditional Catholic values until his death in 2023. Why he can never be Pope, Pell's ineligibility is absolute because he is deceased. But his story is too compelling to omit. Even during his lifetime, Pell faced insurmountable barriers to the papacy. In 2018, he was convicted in Australia of child sexual abuse, charges that were overturned by the High Court in 2020. The ordeal left a permanent stain on his reputation, making him a deeply divisive figure. His aggressive push for financial reforms in the Vatican also alienated powerful factions who saw him as a threat to their influence. Pell's blunt confrontational style and his polarizing conservatism further diminished his chances as conclaves favor consensus builders. His posthumous inclusion on this list underscores the enduring impact of his controversial legacy. Interesting tidbit, Pell kept a secret diary during his 404 days in prison, later published as Prison Journal, offering a rare glimpse into the mind of a cardinal under fire. Conclusion: the papacy's unattainable prize. The papacy is a singular office, blending spiritual leadership with global influence. The cardinals on this list, each remarkable in their own right, are barred from the throne of St. Peter by a combination of age, controversy, ideology, or circumstance. From Tegel's youthful exuberance to Pell's posthumous shadow, their stories illuminate the complex dynamics of the Catholic Church in the 21st century. While none of these men will wear the papal tiara, their influence, for better or worse, will shape the Church for years to come. The next conclave will undoubtedly bring new surprises, but for these 10 cardinals, the papacy remains an unattainable dream.